Judith Bartley at you again this week, speaking with actress, singer, author, and activist SHERYL Lee Ralph.
One of the things people always ask me, well, how does being Jamaican improve your life, make your life better? It always has, because I've always had my culture. I've always known who I was. When they'd have those culture days or, you know, your history days in the States, I always had my ackee and saltfish. I always had my bandana outfit, my skirt and my blouse. I always had my song to sing, you know. It made such a difference for me. And I remember my mother drilling in my head the prayer, which for me is the national anthem. And it was like, I can see me as a child. Eternal Father, bless our land. Guide us with thy mighty hand. Keep us free from evil powers. Oh my God, the words are just amazing, you know? But the older I get, there's one part that always stands out for me, and that is give us vision, lest we perish.
Why is that so important?
Because people without vision perish. They die. It's over. And I think we have to continue to see the bigger picture, the greater goal. You know, it seems as though sometimes when we leave the island, people just blossom, and it's like, my God, the #1 person in science, Jamaica. The #1 person in health and well-being, Jamaican. The #1 person working on the next ship going to Mars, Jamaican. And it's like we just become the best at whatever we do. But when we stay, sometimes we don't realize how great we are. And it's like, how can we be here in what I call paradise and feel we cannot respect it more? The country deserves more. The country deserves better from all of us. I always say to people, don't leave and then don't come back. Don't leave and then when you're up there say bad things about Jamaica. Because believe it or not, when you left, you took your greatness with you. And I cannot stand to hear people talk badly about Jamaica, because trust me, when you're living in the United States, then they're calling your country a you know what kind of whole country. Don't tell me you feel good about that, and don't tell me you think that that's the truth, because it's not the truth. Now maybe sometimes we have some behaviors that we need to confront, like stop putting the dirt and your garbage on the street. My God, when I drive down the street and I see people roll down their window and just dump their trash on the street, would you dump your trash in your home? Because that's basically what you're doing. Because it's not like we have great resources to clean up after you. And stop cutting people off in traffic. There's a stop light, stop sign, stop person for a reason. You must stop. And stop acting like the rules don't apply to you. Because when you cannot follow the rules in small ways, bad things happen. You have to face things like, you know, corruption is real in countries. And I don't care how big you are, I don't care how small you are. But if you don't at least look at what's happening in the United States. Corruption is rampant in the United States right now. Why? Because we have leaders who believe that the laws don't stand for them. So we're in the midst, you're seeing how bad it can get. And I always say, whenever the United States has pneumonia, oh God, we have the flu, and both of them are gonna kill you. It's horrible. So I say, give us vision, lest we fail. Because anywhere I go in the world and you say you're from Jamaica, oh my God, they love you. Japan, they love you. Europe, they love you. I've been on top of mountains. You say Jamaica, they love you. But do we really love ourselves? Do we really? And we're so wonderful. Oh my God, our music, our dance, our arts in general, the way we speak, the way we present ourselves, we have such energy. I know I'm the Energizer Bunny. You know, I'm going to keep on going. You know, it's like we're just so magnificent, but we can't really see it. We don't really value it. And I hate that we don't value the arts. You know, I wish there was an industry, because we're just, if we had it, oh my God, what we couldn't do.
And you work towards that. I remember you're doing the Jamaican Film Festival.
Yes.
How many years ago was that?
My God, it's
in the
got to be
90s.
at least 20 years ago, if not more. My son is 27, and he was at a few, coming up to maybe 20 years ago. You know, the film festival was very important to me, because I really believed that the industry was changing. I believed, and people told me I was crazy. I said, trust me, it's coming, where you are going to beam the movie up. The signal is going to be caught somewhere, and they're just going to beam it down into all the theaters. It's happening. It's happening now. I remember saying, you know, remember when Digicel was brand new, and I said, before you know it, kids are going to be able to make movies on their cell phone. It's happening now. But one of the great things I realized that came out of the film festival is the number of people that I've met over the years that said, you gave me my start. You know,
What was the aim of the festival?
the aim of the festival was trying to build the industry. I felt then that if Nigeria could be on its way to developing its industry, what was going to stop us? If India could be on the way of developing its film industry, what could stop us? And it seems the only thing that stopped us was ourselves.
Was it a challenge to put it together?
Yeah, it was a big challenge. It was a big challenge. Getting support, especially financial support. You know, I thought people would understand that when for 5 years in a row we were in the top 10 film festivals of the world. In the top 10, everybody wanted to come to Jamaica. We had workshops going on. Folks were developing scripts. You know, we had final draft coming down. People were getting, getting free versions of final draft. You know, we had Anthony Anderson came down talking about working towards dreams come true. And now when I look at Anthony Anderson, I was like, wow, was that art in action now with him producing and starring in Blackish? You know, I was like, wow, we had it all right here. But, you know, after a while, the support just wasn't there.
How many years did you do it?
Oh, we did it 5 years.
5 years.
We did it 5 years. Yeah, but, you know, once Moesha was over, that paycheck was like different. And I said, well, we can't keep doing this. But, you know, I still have the same vision for a new crop of artists coming up. Because we have, my God, we have such talented people. I mean, like, really talented. And it's so interesting for me in the States to see so many young Jamaicans in the industry who don't represent Jamaica. They're representing purely as American. And I meet them, I'm like, you're Jamaican. And they're like, yeah, man, I'm Jamaican. And I'm like, but you don't see that.
We'll be back before you know it, more with the amazing SHERYL Lee Ralph right after this. Thanks for staying with us. You're watching eLive Unplugged, where we're chatting with SHERYL Lee Ralph. You grew up in the best place ever in the world.
I believe that.
Mandeville, Manchester.
I believe that.
Tell us a little bit about that.
You know what? I have to tell you, as a child, some of my greatest memories, running barefoot, up those mountains, up those hills, to see my Aunt Vernice, my Aunt Sybil, getting my ears pierced, learning how, oh my God, I used to feed the chickens, you know, and then, you know, your favorite chicken would be gone, and you're like, where's the chicken?
Yes.
And they say, you nyam him already. And I'm like, oh my God. Or when she would say, and this is how we do it now. You take the chicken by the neck, and they would just wring the chicken, and I'm like, oh my God. SHERYL, sit down and be quiet. I remember growing up, and one day Aunt Vernice said to me, SHERYL, you know why people get sick? Why, Aunt Vernice? Because they nyam food, they don't know. You must know your chicken. You must know your goat. You must know your pig. You must know your cow, so you know what you are eating, what's going into your body. Believe it or not, when I was a child, I thought that was ridiculous. That was foolish talk. We're just going to go down to the fast food and get some food quickly. Now I understand the value of good food that you know, grounds food, natural food. Because some of the things that are happening with people, they're unnatural. And where's it coming from? It must be from the ground up, from the food that we're eating, from some of the air that we're breathing.
Can you milk a cow?
God, no. And my Uncle David, Uncle D. David, was like, you need to learn. And I was like, no, no, no. And he said, Ivy, your children soft.
Can you climb a tree?
I can climb a tree. I would not want to climb a tree, but I could climb a tree if I had to. But you know, climbing trees hurts. It hurts your hands, and you have to have a certain kind of foot to climb a tree.
Not really. You can jump and grab the limb and pull yourself
Yeah,
up.
but you have to have a limb that's low enough for you to jump and catch. You know, it's not all that easy. But at least we make the effort.
They say that if you've picked a fruit from a tree, you understand nature, and you therefore are a better person. They say if you've ever seen a kid being born, goat kid now.
Yes, I know what you mean.
Being born, you are a better person because you're at one with nature. So you would find it harder to kill someone, something. What are your thoughts on that?
You know something? I really think when it comes to life and death, the more you are loved, the more you are able to love others. You know, we have a problem, and it's not just in Jamaica. Sometimes it seems like it's more so here, but it's because it's concentrated. It's because, you know, poverty is not paid as much attention to, you know. And when a certain mindset is allowed to develop, young people or people in general start to value themselves less. If you value yourself less, you cannot value someone else more. So their life means nothing because yours for yourself really means nothing. You hear a lot of lyrics in the music talking about, you know, shooting this one bullet in your brain and this and that. That's a madness and a sadness within. That is basically a cry out for help. I cannot help myself, so I cannot help you. I have been left alone, so you should be alone. I have felt pain, so you should feel pain. Your people should feel pain. And it's because very often those who are able to help choose not to help. Because it's easy when you're comfortable to feel that, okay, I'm comfortable, so everything is going to be fine. Trust me, if you do not take care of ignorance, if you do not take care of hunger, there are two twins that are coming for you. Because people, believe it or not, people want to learn more. They want to know more. And when you're hungry, you have to fill that belly. And
what's the difference between selfishness and self-love then?
Of two very different things. If you're selfish, all you care about is yourself. That's all you care about. Let others take care for themselves because I'm fine. So the rest of you don't matter, right? But when you are, give me the word.
Self-love.
Self-love. You are confident in yourself to figure out, how can I help so-and-so? How can I figure out what's going on with them? What would make it better? I see every day how helping others helps me. My mother passed away, Miss Ivy Ralph, O.D. I always said it stands for Original Diva, but Order of Distinction. How my mother lived her life to help others. Not like she was going to save the world, but, for example, does a man who tend the yard, does he have a place to live? Is he getting food in the morning? Is he getting food when he leaves? The people that work for her in her atelier, are they getting paid? Do they get to go home with money in their pocket? Are they going to get a little something to buy the fresh food for their Christmas dinner or their Sunday dinner? The little things that she was able to do as a woman, she did, which has made things so much better for me as a woman. I know the child who said, Miss Ralph, can you pay for my books for school? I said, how are your grades? When you get in, hit me up. I've paid for those books. Do you know what I mean? The little things that you can do. You know, I work for a living. I make my job speaking, but not everybody can pay the fee. So how do you balance it so that the person who really needs to hear the word also gets the word? You know? Mm-hmm. What are the little things that you can do? They have to be done. Because see, if you don't do it, then you're selfish.
Of course, it's another stimulating episode of eLive Unplugged. On the other side, SHERYL Lee Ralph tells us more. So glad you joined us for eLive Unplugged this week, where we're chatting with SHERYL Lee Ralph. We're just about education for the youth, and the most crucial point. This is our final segment.
I'm going to say 3 to 7 that are absolutely the most important times in life. Mm-hmm. Can you get that child in early child studies? Can you get qualified people who are passionate about their students and learning? Mm-hmm. Can you pay these people? Can you respect them enough to have your children for more days, more hours in the day than you will? Can you trust them to have your children? Can you support them in the education of your children? And not just for some. Mm-hmm. And once again, you know, only because of my experience, if you look at the United States, if you look at Jamaica, you know, education in the United States is going down, 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 down. There are some kids in the United States right now whose books are 20 years old. What are they learning? There are some children in the United States who have no access to the internet. They're being left behind. There are some schools, it's mandated that you must go to school. Their school is falling down on top of them. There's mold in their school. There's no drinking water in their school. And I'm talking about big cities. I'm talking about big American cities. So if this is how they're caring about their children, remember, when they've got pneumonia, we've got the flu, and they'll kill us. That's what's going on. It takes caring, it takes financial support, and not just for some. Because see, if you only take care of some, then nobody's well. Because if one of us is suffering, we're all going to suffer. One of us has that bad strain of whatever disease. Trust me, all of us can catch it. So it's like you got to care enough to take care. And your caring, your kindness is not weakness. It is your strength. Because a lot of people will never have that kind of power. And loving, caring, consideration is a powerful thing. Some people are upset because they don't know what it feels like because nobody loved them. Do you know there are a lot of people out there on the street right now? All they want you to do is acknowledge them. I see it all the time. I walk down and I say, hello, how you doing? And they light up. How you doing, miss? You all right? Yes. And all I'm doing is saying hello. I'm just like, I see you. I see you. You know, sometimes you see people, they're unhappy. They don't know how to smile. So people always say to me, how come you look so good? I always exercise the muscles in my face. But that's me. I choose to shine.
SHERYL Lee Ralph, tell us how you got started in film.
Okay. I'll never, ever forget this. I graduated from Rutgers University, and, you know,
what?
English literature and theater arts. And it was interesting because I was in the first class of women, and you couldn't major in theater arts because it was considered a female subject. Thank God for change. So I had to major in English literature, which caused me to read and write, which ended up being quite advantageous for me down the road. But I remember when I told my mother upon graduation, one, I wasn't going to go to graduation services, ceremonies, because I was cast in a Skippy peanut butter commercial. And if you have a national commercial, you get paid. It's almost like a salary. It was like $20,000 US to shoot this national commercial.
How did you get cast in it?
I was Miss Black Teenage America, first runner-up in New York. So I had an agent. The agent sent me out. I got the Skippy peanut butter commercial, and I was like, Skippy peanut butter, graduation in the hot sun. Skippy peanut butter, graduation in the hot sun. Skippy peanut butter. I got that check. I never had to do anything other than work pursuing my art, right? So I end up doing this film called Piece of the Action with Sidney Poitier and Bill Cosby. Before that now, my mother said, Sheryl, you're going to take my hard-earned money and become one of those fake and phony people in show business. Be a doctor, be a lawyer, and if you can't do that, then marry one. Okay, that was her bar for me. I got Piece of the Action. I was right here. At that time, there was an apartment complex that was brand new next to, oh my God, it was across from where what used to be the smallpox cemetery. It's now a whole different place now. But across there was this, this brand new apartment complex, and we used to live over there. And I got a call, and it said, Sheryl Lee Ralph, you need to be in California next week, Monday, because you have an audition for Piece of the Action with Bill Cosby, Sidney Poitier. It was very interesting because for the audition, I walk in there, and
this is where?
Hollywood, Warner Brothers. Mm-hmm. Mr. Poitier had his production company there, and I walk in there, and there are two young women there, Pamela Poitier and a young actress at the time named Tamu, and me. Who's not getting this role? I'm not getting the role. It's his daughter and Tamu. Why are they casting me? So I figured this is my one shot. I've got to make it count. I walk in there, I give it everything. I get a call back. I get the call back. You don't find out right away. I'm back on the plane. I'm back in Jamaica. I'm in that same apartment complex. I get the phone call, Sheryl Lee Ralph. It's Mr. Poitier on the phone now. Sheryl Lee Ralph, I'm just calling to let you know that you have been cast in A Piece of the Action as Barbara Hanley, and we will see you in Hollywood in a month. Whoa! I literally got up, and I remember running down the stairs out the front door, yelling, I'm going to Hollywood! And that was my start. And a month later, I was on the plane, and I was in Hollywood, and it was great. I had to wait 10 years from my first film to the second film, but in between that was Dreamgirls and so many other things, and just forward. And I remember Miss Lou, oh my God. Miss Lou said to me, Sheryl?
How did you meet Miss Lou?
I don't know how I met Miss Lou, but I always remember Miss Lou being in my life, I always remember her and her songs and the stories. And I remember going to college, and she asked me to be on Ring Ding once, and I don't know what I did, but I remember her looking at me, and she said, clap her! And oh my God, those are such great memories, I'll never, ever forget that. I remember my dance classes with Rex Nettleford, oh my God, in, the space that was the courthouse next to the church where I had my first wedding. Oh my God, complete with Denzel. It was amazing. But I remember all of that growing up and how much it added to me as an artist, as a human being. But it was so great that I got my first job right here in Jamaica. Yeah.
So tell us about the first wedding.
Okay, so I turned 30, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I'm not married. I should be married because I am a mother. I always knew that I was a mother. I knew that I was born to be a mother. But I was working so hard in my career that I wasn't paying attention to, you know, meeting somebody or all of that. So I tied a piece of string around my ring finger, and it was a reminder to work as hard on my life as I was my career. I had a film called To Sleep with Anger with Danny Glover. It went to Cannes. I went to Cannes, and I met my first husband, and it was just like, wow, okay. So then...
So it was love at first sight.
It was something at first sight. Something at first sight.
We have so much more to talk about with SHERYL Lee Ralph, but this is where we leave it on this week's episode. Join us next week for part 2 with SHERYL Lee Ralph. I'm your host, Judith Bodley. See you next, eLive Unplugged.